The winning streak continues for the Tampa Bay Lightning with another 4-1 win. We'll talk about what that means for the Lightning's playoff push as they progress in the home stretch of the NHL season.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Sperber welcoming all of you to another episode of Locked On Lightning. I want to thank you all for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. And we're going to get started in today's show talking about the win against the Edmonton Oilers. The Lightning outshot Edmonton in all three periods. And despite the fact that the Edmonton Oilers did get the first goal, it was all Lightning after that. A 4-1 win, the second straight 4-1 win in a row at home. And the Tampa Bay Lightning with a huge win. The Oilers came into this game tied in first place in the Pacific Division. Now they have dropped a little bit in that. It is now the Vegas Golden Knights in sole possession of first place in the Pacific Division. Meanwhile, the Lightning 3 points behind the Panthers, 4 behind the Maple Leafs, with 2 games in hand against Florida, and one game in hand against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Tampa Bay Lightning solidified third in the Atlantic Division and still within striking distance of the two top teams. And John Cooper gave a lot of credit for the Tampa Bay Lightning win to a Brandon Hagel goal early in the second period.
Edmonton scores a power play goal, but we scored like 2 minutes after that. So any kind of momentum they had, we snuffed it out, and then just start the period, which was pretty even first period, I guess. But now you've put a team on their heels, and a team that. A hell of a team, but they've been struggling here coming out of the break, and so that was a big thing for us. Is like, let's put them behind again and make them have to chase it, and then so that was a huge goal to get 30 seconds in.
I think both of those first 2 goals for the Lightning really can't be understated. At just about the halfway point of the first period, with almost 8 minutes left, Leon Draisaitl scored his 43rd goal of the season on the power play, giving Edmonton the first lead of the game. Less than 2 minutes later, Michael Eyssimont with a beautiful backhand shot on the Gage Gonzalez assist to give the Lightning a goal. So that was what Cooper was first talking about, getting that Eyssimont goal to tie it up. Right after the big power play goal from Edmonton, Eyssimont with a brilliant shot, 10 points this season and a career-long 3-game point streak for Eyssimont. That was the equalizer, and that was the goal that kind of switched momentum in the Lightning's favor. And the Hagel goal, less than 30 seconds, 29 to be exact, into the second period, Hagel wraps around the goal and gives the Lightning the lead for good. And that was just a sucker punch to the Oilers. And you could tell it really just let the air out of their tires. And that's why about 5 minutes after that second goal, Lightning get another one on the power play with Victor Hedman getting his 9th goal of the season. And really, once that Hagel goal was scored, it just seemed like the Oilers lost all hope. I mean, you could tell the body language from their players and just that they were defeated. And if it wasn't after that Hedman goal, it certainly came after the Nick Paul goal in the third period, about halfway through. Started with an absolutely brilliant pass from Nikita Kucherov. He got the puck, had some space on the right wing, and passed it across the ice, a through pass to Jake Gensel, who then found Nick Paul in stride. Just an absolutely perfectly executed Lightning goal. Beautiful passing, and it led to one for Tampa Bay. And if there was any hope for Edmonton before that, it was gone. after the Nick Paul goal. Just 5 shots in the third period for Edmonton. The Lightning defense was close to its best. This was one of the best defensive games of the season. And that is, that's exactly what you want. It really seems like the Lightning are getting hot at the right time here. They have been in the playoff mindset since really the beginning of February. I think that Islanders loss in overtime really just activated something in the Lightning players, because after that, it was just a dominant game after a dominant game. And that 4-3 win over Ottawa might not seem like a great defensive performance, but it's been one way or another solid defense for the most of this winning streak. I mean, whether it's been, great plays from the defenders, whether it's been the goalie play of Vasilevsky, the Lightning defense is in the middle of its best stretch of the season. Coming back from Four Nations with 2 one-goal wins, and by that I mean 2 wins in which they let up 1 goal. 2 4-1 wins, if I want to get even more specific. But the Lightning are getting their goals, 4 goals all during the run of play, no empty netters for Tampa Bay. And, just true dominance, I think, for the Lightning. And you've got players approaching career highs. You've got players that are starting to get a lot more involved, particularly in those lower lines. And, that is why I think it's so impressive that the Lightning had more than half their team score points. All but 2 forwards got on the score sheet for the Lightning, and Victor Hedman, the only defenseman, getting a point with his power play goal. But, you're getting just everyone involved on offense, getting Zemgus Girgensons involved, who until a couple weeks ago didn't have a point on the season. Now he's got a goal and 3 assists on the year. So getting him involved in the offense is certainly a big positive. Nikita Kucherov, the only player with multiple points, but Gage Gonzalez continues to look incredibly solid. I don't know what happened to Gonzalez during that second stint, that most recent stint in the AHL. This is before the Four Nations break, when he went down and then got back up, came into Four Nations on a bit of a point streak, and just continues to look like a completely new player. Gage Gonzalez, he's someone that we're going to talk about a little bit later on as well, because I think he's someone that can really factor into the Lightning future by the way that he is playing. I'll completely admit it. I was thinking upon the time of his January recall to Syracuse, he went up there for a couple games. At that point, I got to thinking, all right, the Lightning might be shopping Gonzalez. They might be looking to trade a guy who is NHL ready, but they might not totally have room for on their roster. And then Gonzalez, really picked things up in the AHL and came back to Tampa Bay, a completely changed player. And in the past couple games, he has been on just a great run of play, and has truly been one of the key players for the Lightning over the course of this month. He's played in 7 games and has 5 points, all assists for the Lightning, and a plus-minus of +3. So he is certainly somebody that the Lightning, it appears, are going to make part of their team going forward. Really seems like they should with Gonzalez. He is really progressing well for the Lightning in the minor leagues, and seems to be a mainstay on the Lightning roster from this point forward. And one last thing I want to bring up about this victory was kind of shutting down Connor McDavid. The last 3 games for McDavid now, he has just 1 point. That came as an assist on the Lightning's, or on the Oilers' only goal of the game. McDavid got his 51st assist of the season, the primary helper on Draisaitl's power play goal, but I really just did not see him involved in the game all that much. For a guy as dominant as Connor McDavid is, for a guy who, is listed by many players and pundits as the best player in the NHL. The Lightning really did an incredible job of taking him out of the game. And whenever you can hold a player like Connor McDavid, whenever you can limit his impact, you're doing something right. And that really shows, I think, how much the defense has made strides over the course of the season. You look at the game the last time the Lightning played the Oilers, and, McDavid got a crucial goal, and the Oilers scored 2 on 25 shots. And, one of those goals was an own goal, but it was still Connor McDavid playing a key role in that game. And it really just didn't seem like, he was as involved this time. And it really seemed like the Lightning just took him out of the game in a lot of ways. And when you can do that against one of the best players on the planet, coming off of a phenomenal Four Nations tournament for him, you're doing something right. And it really seems like the Lightning defense has hit their stride at the right time. And that brings us to our next subject, the Lightning playoff push. How can the Lightning's recent run of form help them in the final 24 games of the NHL season? You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? That's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites, because Indeed's sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need the right hire like yesterday. The pressure is on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That is exactly when Indeed's sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And right now, you can pick up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOn right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed here on Locked On Lightning. Terms and conditions apply, but if you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. So we are getting ready for the home stretch of the season. One more game in February for the Lightning, and 23 games within the final 2 months of the season for Tampa Bay. And as I said, I think that this win over Edmonton is a really good one for the Lightning to really start keying in on that playoff push. I think the Kraken, they're a team that is likely not going to make the playoffs this season. The Lightning did exactly what you'd expect a playoff team like the Bolts to do against a team like the Kraken, and that is just take over the game and dominate. So that was a nice little tune-up against kind of a lesser team, a team that has not played to the Lightning's level over the course of the season. 2 huge wins for Tampa over Seattle this year. And, obviously that's a great start. It's something that you certainly want to build off coming off of a long break, shaking off a little bit of rust. And the Lightning did that. Then they had a game against the Oilers, which you come into that thinking that it could be pretty telling about how the Lightning play the rest of their season, because I'm not saying that's the only playoff team that they're playing coming up, but if you look at the month of March, there's no matchup except for the March 3rd game in Miami or in Sunrise against the Panthers, maybe the 2 against the Bruins as well, but there aren't too many matchups in the month of March that pit the Lightning against a team that they could see down the road in the playoffs. I mean, the Oilers have to be one of the favorites in the Western Conference to come out and, repeat as Western Conference finalists. And the Lightning just completely dismantled them. I wouldn't say the Lightning are an obvious Stanley Cup contender, but I think they're certainly a dark horse. I think they're a team whose defense can surprise people in the playoffs, and their offense it gives the Lightning the ability to contend with everybody. I mean, if obviously this doesn't happen that much in the postseason, defense tightens up, but the Lightning are certainly a team that I would be scared to face in the postseason. A team with just electric offense and so many guys who can light the lamp. It's just a team that you have to be worried about in the postseason. I mean, this is a team that has a lot of experienced players on it. They have locked up the core of it. And I mean, there's just so many leaders on this Lightning team that just makes them dangerous in the postseason. And obviously, you have Andrei Vasilevsky, who is widely considered one of the best goalies on the planet. I think the run that Connor Hellebuck is on might give him that title currently, but Vasilevsky still has to be in that conversation. And whenever you have one of the best goalies in the world, you have a leg up on most of the rest of the competition. And I think that's certainly the case with the Lightning and Andrei Vasilevsky and the way that their defense is playing. If they can carry this kind of momentum on the defensive side to the postseason, they're going to be a tough team to take out because that offense is hard to beat, especially when they get going. If Vasilevsky gets locked in for a playoff run, that could just, end the Stanley Cup race completely. He is that dominant in the net. And the defense has looked better and better, and it really seems like the Lightning are hitting their stride defensively. And it's something that has been a point of focus for the Tampa Bay Lightning over the course of the season, and particularly a big help it has been over this Lightning's 6-game winning streak, their longest of the season.
Well, it's a large part of it, to be honest. Tonight's game sticks out, and because we really defended well. We really defended well the 2 Ottawa games that started this little streak. And then I think we played well enough in the other games, but I think goaltending was helped us in the Detroit-Montreal game. And the Seattle game was fairly, but again, we're not giving up a slew of chances. When we do, it's one and that's it. The odd man rushes aren't there, so we've really done a good job. And we're just concentrating on the area that you need to win, and it's beautiful gone by now.
And you can certainly look at the offense. The Lightning getting 4 goals on 36 shots. And certainly dominating the play in the offensive zone. But even in that, you have to give a lot of credit to the defense. They were able to get the puck from the Oilers, the whole lot of offensive firepower on that team, and control it for much of the game. I mean, power plays and a lot of different points of the game when it came to possession. It seemed like it was the Oilers not really doing much and the Lightning controlling just about everything. I mean, that was one of the most dominantly controlled games by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And even Andrei Vasilevsky gives extra credit to his defense as well. It is not just Cooper noticing the Lightning's improvement on the defensive side since the Four Nations.
We did not give up much the last few games. So, and as I said, we from our defense, and then we want to have a scoring chance for goals. Simple.
And I think the defense is certainly going to be key for the Lightning. I think they're going to go in the playoffs as far as their defense takes them. Obviously, as I said, their offense alone, they can contend with any team in the NHL. But, especially when it comes to playoff contention and it comes to the Stanley Cup final, the defense is what is going to separate you. And the Lightning are certainly going to need that down the stretch. And what I think is good about the way the Lightning schedule works out for the last couple months of the season is that about half of April is against divisional teams. So obviously you want the Lightning to continue, the trend that has been going in the second half of the season and just play great defense and continue to dominate teams. But even if they slip up in March, then they still have a chance to kind of get back on track and right their ship with divisional games pretty much every other day in April. You have the second 2 games in April against the division. Then you have the next game against the Rangers. The next 4 games after that are against the Atlantic Division. 4 of the final 5 Lightning games in the regular season are against the Maple Leafs, the Red Wings, the Sabres, and the Panthers. 3 of 4 of those should still definitely be factors by the end of the season. And I expect the Maple Leafs and Panthers to still be the 2 teams ahead of Tampa Bay. And there's a very real chance that in those last, 4 or 5 games from the 9th through the 15th, when the Lightning have 4 games at home against the Atlantic Division, there's a chance that one of those games could be a playoff clincher if the Lightning haven't locked up a playoff spot already by the 15th of April or even the 9th of April. But the Lightning will certainly have their chances in the last month to solidify their playoff status. But I think the month of March could be one where the Lightning just stamp their mark on the NHL postseason and punch their ticket. Now, one thing about this current season is that Leon Draisaitl is looking like the Rocket Richard Trophy winner. He has 43 goals on the season thanks to his power play goal last night. That is over 10 goals more than anyone else in the NHL, with William Nylander in second at 33 goals for the Maple Leafs. Braden Point looked like a Rocket Richard candidate for the first half of this season. Will he get another chance to win the Rocket Richard Trophy? And who else on the Lightning might take home that prestigious regular season award? So Leon Draisaitl, as we talked about, got the first goal of the game for the Edmonton Oilers. He continues to stretch out his goal-scoring lead over the entire NHL. He is currently the only player with over 35 goals, only player with over 40 goals in the NHL. And I know I said at the beginning of the season that Braden Point might have an outside chance at the Rocket Richard, but with pretty much anyone else in the NHL needing to score about 2 goals a game in the final 24 to overtake the goal-scoring leader, it might be safe to call that Rocket Richard race for Leon Draisaitl. But if you look at some of the NHL stats, there are certainly other players on the Lightning who are up there in the goal-scoring lead. Leon Draisaitl, by the way, also tied with Nathan MacKinnon and 2 points over Nikita Kucherov for the points lead in the NHL. But Draisaitl, 10 goals more than anyone else in the league. Braden Point tied for 4th. So you look at guys like Braden Point as someone else, I think, down the road for the Lightning that may have a chance to win the Rocket Richard Trophy. I really thought that Point had a shot at it this year. There was a point earlier in the season before the Four Nations break where Braden Point was only a couple goals outside of the top. I think he was within 2 or 3 goals at one point of Leon Draisaitl for the goal-scoring lead. And I think it's something that can certainly belong to Braden Point at some point in his career. He's had 150-goal season and is on his way to a second. If he scores 1 goal per game, he averages just shy of that over the course of the season. But getting him 1 goal a game will get him back to that 50-point mark, as he's currently at 31 goals with 21 games left for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think down the road, he certainly has the ability to pick up a Rocket Richard Trophy. He might be the best pure goal scorer on the Tampa Bay Lightning team. I think that honor could easily go to Nikita Kucherov, who by the way I see it is the best player in the NHL. But Nikita Kucherov is an interesting case when it comes to winning the Rocket Richard Trophy, because I think he just does too much else with the puck to really end up as a scoring leader. I think that he might lead the Lightning in goals. I think that's definitely something that he'll be able to do, and he will do at least once over the next few years of his hopefully long continuation of his career. But I think Kucherov is just too unselfish, and I don't want to say too smart of a player to lead his team in goals. Like scoring goals makes you a less intelligent hockey player, because first off, it doesn't. Second off, I think what I'm trying to mean by that is Kucherov is just too smart a player to only focus on scoring goals. I mean, his role in the Lightning offense is just as a little bit of everything. He's obviously the number one option. He is just the guy that you want to run that offense through, whether it's going to be passing or scoring. You want Kucherov to touch the puck, and he just knows when to pass it, which is going to be most of the time, and he knows when he's got an open shot to score it, and he knows when he can just completely take over a game to just rip through a defense and find some goals to score. But obviously you can't discount Nikita Kucherov in the ability to win really any NHL award because he is just so skilled on the offensive side of the puck. So I think he certainly has a chance. And I think after Point and Kucherov, I mean, you look at the Lightning roster, those are probably the two most likely to win the Rocket Richard Trophy. I think Jake Gensel certainly has a possibility. He has shown himself to be a spectacular goal scorer, 27 in 56 games so far for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like Point, he's well on his way to breaking his career high, as is Brandon Hagel. And he and Anthony Cirelli have emerged as elite goal-scoring options for the Lightning over the course of this season. And not just goal scorers, but leaders. Nick Paul, who plays on a line with Cirelli and Hagel sometimes, talked about their leadership in the game against the Edmonton Oilers and the offensive ability that they help their line achieve.
I think it's just the buy-in from everybody. We know when the game's getting tight and they got their push. We're just not forcing plays. I feel like we were playing some great hockey at the beginning, but it was just very inconsistent. We're trying to force plays in the neutral zone. I feel like, you look at Hagee, C, and Gergie's game tonight. They got over the red, they're putting pucks deep, and they're just hounding pucks. They're winning battles, going up to the D, strong side shot, winning battles again. A line like that's doing it, it's easy to follow suit.
And that second line has been such a perfect example for the way Lightning really should do things on offense. Obviously, the puck movement, starting with that incredible chemistry between Hagel and Cirelli, has opened a lot of things up. And there have been a lot of games where, regardless of the fact that the Lightning have the best line in hockey, going Gensel, Point, Kucherov from left wing to center to right wing, that second line has at times been the most productive for the Tampa Bay Lightning because of that leadership and that chemistry from Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli, and both of them are on the way towards achieving career highs in terms of goals scored this season, with Cirelli currently at 20. His career high in goals, 20, set last season. So one more goal for him gets a career high. Brandon Hagel currently at 28 goals on the season. 3 off beating his career high of 30 he set in his first full year with the Lightning in 2022. So those are, two numbers that I expect to be broken within the next few games. Cirelli could break it in the next game of this homestand. Though I think both of those guys might be a little more outside shots at getting the Rocket Richard Trophy. I think that the way that they've been playing and the way that Cirelli and Hagel are really constantly elevating their game, I don't think you can discount them. I think that Hagel has turned into one of the elite offensive players in the entire league, and his two-way ability and his chemistry with Cirelli really jumps him up to one of the better forwards in the entire league. And I think you can make that argument for Cirelli as well. Though Cirelli has been solid on offense this season, his face-off ability and his defensive game, I think, are the strongest points of what Cirelli brings to the table, but he is certainly an underrated goal scorer, and he and Hagel both with incredible ability to get shorthanded goals. They have 7 shorthanders between the two of them, both among the league leaders in that category, and they just have a knack for finding open space on the ice and the quickness to make things happen in that open space. So I think down the road, Hagel and Cirelli both in their mid-20s, both approaching their prime. I think only big things can be expected from them. And down the road, as much as they've improved over the course of this season and both established themselves as two of the premier two-way forwards in the NHL, there could be even more room to improve on the offensive side, and that could lead to some hardware in the future for either Hagel, Cirelli, or both of them. I think one big prediction, though, is that within the next 5 years, Brayden Point will have a Rocket Richard Trophy. I think his goal-scoring ability has just been improving and improving, which is saying plenty because he's already established himself as one of just the smartest goal scorers in the entire NHL. Just a guy who has a knack for finding the puck in open ice and a knack for finding open sections of the net to put it in. So I think Brandon Hagel will be the next Lightning player to win the Rocket Richard Trophy, but you can look at all of the Lightning's key forwards, look at the Lightning's first line, look at Hagel and Cirelli as players that could lift that trophy later in their careers. But the Lightning are mainly focusing on winning the Stanley Cup trophy right now, and tomorrow's game against the Flames could help get them one step closer to that playoff push. That is something that we will discuss tomorrow. Until then, I want to thank all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen today. Now for your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On NHL, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with local coverage that you love from Locked On. Find the Locked On NHL podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts and wherever you found today's podcast. Thanks again for tuning in to Locked On Lightning, and please give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. We really appreciate your guys' support. So once again, thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Locked On Lightning. I'm Josh Sperber. Have a great start to the week, and go Bolts.